Nerd Rage Renegades.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 176 of the Nerd Rage Renegades, coming off that great 175 talk with Cool Beer. Thanks again, Cool Beer, for coming on every 25 and staying up late to chill with us.
Yeah, man, he's up real late. He's like up to 4 or 5 in the morning doing that. Because we do it, well, my time it's like 8:30, your time it's 9:30. And for him, there's like a 6-hour difference.
Yeah, big difference. So much stuff. I'm going to apologize if I sound a little weird tonight to all the fans. I am heavily medicated on painkillers. My knee has been acting up something terrible. I've been in the ER twice in the last 2 weeks for my knee, and it's just been hell on earth not being able to walk.
The dedication that Spin has, I offered him the week off to recover, and he said the show must go on. So Spin's here for for all your delight.
Yes. I'm not riding the snake tonight, though. I'm not riding the snake tonight. Tonight's just a painkiller. It's not any muscle relaxers or anything like that. Just a normal, a mammoth dose of painkillers for my knee, because basically my knee died and I couldn't walk. I was like low crawling to like the bathroom, trying to use the bathroom and stuff like that, just because I could not put any pressure on my leg whatsoever. And it's been bad for like a week now. So hopefully it's starting to feel better. I've got more movement now in my, range of motion in my knee. But I've been catching up on a lot of sleep because I haven't been able to sleep with the pain. So I've been catching up on a lot of sleep, watching some movies. Somehow I fell asleep in my recliner, and I wake up and my kids are watching the damn Woody Woodpecker movie.
Yeah, I heard it. It's in name only, Woody Woodpecker.
It is. I don't know what the fuck is up with that movie. So it's more like Daffy Duck on helium. Literally, Woody Woodpecker, he sounds like Daffy Duck on helium. And even like his laughter, there's a point in the movie he actually starts bouncing around going, woohoo, 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 woohoo. I'm like, that's Daffy Duck. What the fuck?
Yeah. Woody Woodpecker has a very signature laugh. Seems like I wouldn't use.
It's I understand it's not the original voices, of Woody Woodpecker and all that.
It's like the theme. His laugh is the theme song.
Yeah, but it's so because Eric Bauza, I think, is doing the voice of Woody, and he does like Marvin the Martian and things like that on like Looney Tunes now, and he's a good voice actor. But this one, it's just weird, and it's like the classic tropes of any of these like movies. So the gist is this guy who is
Hold on, let me guess. I'm just gonna guess. A guy's gonna come in to try to develop Woody Woodpecker's home into something else, and Woody Woodpecker's got to fight the land developer from taking his house.
Yeah, so Timothy Omundson, he was in the show Gallivant and stuff like that. He wants to build his house on Woody where Woody lives.
So it's Peter Rabbit.
Yeah. So Woody, he does everything he can to like disrupt the building of this house, but there's also a subplot of like he has not Woody, but the guy has a son who he doesn't see often, and he's with the son's coming to stay with him for a bit. And the son and him don't have a good relationship, and they go into the son makes friends in town and has to deal with local bullies, and then he joins this band that's going to play at this festival at the end of the summer, and I'm just like, what does any of this fucking shit have to do with Woody Woodpecker? So there's another plot in this movie where Woody's like, he's like the last of his kind, and they thought his kind was like extinct. He's the last of his kind, and he just wants a family
Talking woodpeckers.
Too. Yeah, and there's there's two stupid poachers that want to capture Woody and sell him on the black market, and and there's like a forest ranger that shows up. And I'm sitting there, and immediately I'm like, she's gonna hook up with the guy who's building the house because it just makes sense. That's what's gonna happen in the movie. And Woody makes friends with the boy. I mean, it's every classic trope that they would throw into one of these movies based off an old cartoon.
Well, and it's like they could just plug any old cartoon character into that too. Like you could put Snagglepuss or fucking anybody in that. You could put Daffy Duck in it, like you said, and it'd be the same fucking movie. Well, wouldn't be a Woody Woodpecker movie.
What didn't they do that with Yogi Bear? Like they made a Yogi Bear movie, and it was like the mayor wanted to like tear down like Jellystone Park or something like that.
Yeah, they were gonna fire Ranger Smith or some shit like that. I don't remember what exactly was gonna develop the park into something. I don't remember, but. Yeah, that's terrible too, because Dan Aykroyd does a horrible Yogi Bear voice.
But but surprisingly, Justin Timberlake does a pretty damn good Boo Boo.
Yeah, like really dead on. From the I watched that Nostalgia Critic. I think it was his review of it, where they were talking about how spot on Justin Timberlake is, and how awful Dan Aykroyd is.
It's so.
But he's not. I mean, it's not. It's. I get. Yeah, I mean, because you got a big name like Dan Aykroyd, but he really doesn't sound anything like Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Yogi Bear sounds like Art Carney.
Yeah, something must be up with Skype tonight, and that's why it's sounding all wonky. It's starting to sound wonky again. I'm wondering if we should head over to Hangout and see if the Hangout will work better. Yeah, because it's saying right here, like, let me see my speakers. It's saying quality is bad.
Yeah, I gotta see. Maybe I got this on the wrong side too. It doesn't feel right. There's no right or left.
Right.
Damn it. Let's flip it around. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah. See, right now it sounds fine.
Well, I'll just could be a slight short in these headphones if I move too much. Just like when yours go out and you have to unplug them.
Yeah. Oh boy, so there was that. I did watch Goodfellas, which is one of the greatest movies of all time in my personal opinion. Who doesn't love Goodfellas?
Yeah, it's good. Henry Hill was a character too, because if you listen to Howard Stern, he used to be a regular guest on Howard Stern, the real Henry Hill that the movie's based on, and he was just pretty much a drunk waste in his later years, but he had some pretty funny moments on the Stern Show over the years too, and it was kind of cool to actually hear the real guy talk about this stuff. And then people would call in while Henry Hill was on the Stern Show, and some guys would claim to be real mobsters calling in saying, "We're gonna kill you, you fucking rat," and saying shit like that saying that over the radio to Henry Hill, and it was pretty funny whenever he was on there, and they'd get into all the mob stuff every time.
It's because I've read the book Wise Guys, which is what the movie is based off of, and it's so interesting because you read the book and it's almost like the movie's almost word for word from the book almost. I mean, some things were changed a little bit, but it's really I love that. I've been in a mobster mood, so I watched that. I've been watching the Godfather trilogy because it's on Netflix.
I haven't watched those in a while. It's probably been 10 years since I watched the Godfather movies. Been a good long time. But yeah, that second one's pretty awesome. With De Niro.
And I'm sorry, I understand there's a lot of shit given to Marlon Brando with what was it, Last Tango in Paris was the movie that had all that controversy. But Brando was one fucking hell of an actor.
I like his Island of Doc. I like his Dr. Moreau.
Oh, I loved him. And you know what? It's funny because I like that movie. A lot of people hated that movie, and I can never find it anywhere. It's like, I want that fucking movie. I'm sure it's on Amazon Prime.
It's really, yeah, it probably is. It's a weird. How many Dr. Moreau movies have there been over the years? There's been a lot of. I mean, not even including just the ones that are totally rip-offs of it, but I mean, like actual Dr. Moreau
I know of like two
adaptations.
Or three. I know of like 2 or 3. The one with Brando was him, Val Kilmer, and the guy who played Remus Lupin in David Thewlis, I think his name is, from Harry Potter.
Wasn't there one in the 70s or 80s, like a TV one with like Michael York?
Yeah, I believe so. I've been on this like Brando Orson Welles kick since I've been laid up. You know, yes.
My favorite's still frozen peas.
Yes. How do you say in July? You can't say in July. You show me how you say in July, and I'll blow you.
I'll go down on you.
I'll go down on you. Mrs. Pell's fish sticks. I used to love those when they would do it on the Critic, to show the Critic, and they would like just have like different Orson Welles stuff. It's like, yes, what luck! There's a French fry stuck in my beard. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good.
The brain was like a Orson Welles voice, pretty much.
Yeah, that was Maurice. Yeah, basically that's what Maurice LaMarche said. He's like, Orson Brains is pretty much just Orson Welles.
Yeah,
they actually did an episode where they like remade the that whole thing with Wells with Brain, where he's like, you tell me how to say in July and I'll make cheese. But instead of saying I'll go down on you, they're like, I'll make cheese for you. But they redid like that whole thing with Brain. It was hilarious.
A lot of people probably don't, like younger people probably don't even know who Orson Welles is, and probably don't realize that character is based on Orson Welles. It's like his more asshole-y side of Orson Welles. But that's my favorite part of Orson Welles, is his like asshole-ish nature. That's why I like him so much.
I love watching those old like golden age movie stars. You know, they were stars.
Real drama guy, like guys like Shatner too. Like Shatner is one of those guys that's like a real hard ass when it comes to like professionalism and shit.
Oh yeah.
And they've got those tapes of him. They got Shatner like cutting commercials and stuff too, and like promos for some kind of Star Trek thing, and he gets in an argument with a guy. And then he's like, okay, I'll read it as you've written it. And he just starts reading it real shitty on purpose. I love that shit. I love cranky old dudes. They're the funniest.
Well, it's like, I look at it now, it's like I remember growing up with like when the Oscars were on, like when I was a kid, and they would always have like the old-timey golden age, like actor come up to receive like the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
And it would be, you know, a guy from like the 20s or the 30s, and they'd come up there and they were so humble. Nowadays, it's like Lifetime Achievement Award to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck? Why is he getting a Lifetime Achievement Award? Who the fuck cares?
Is he my age? No, I used to love like when you'd get like Buddy Hackett, or like when when old comedians would get really old to where they just didn't give a fuck anymore, and they just say anything, anywhere, anytime. And like you'd get Milton Berle every once in a while on an award show, and he would just fucking full on go and get like filthy dirty sometimes, and like it's like he just didn't give a fuck. And like guys like Buddy Hackett, well, Buddy Hackett was always kind of dirty.
Yeah.
But like roaster comedians, when they get really old, like the Friars Club dudes, when they're really old, they just say whatever the fuck.
That's the thing. Like, you watch like roasts today, like the Comedy Central roast. It's all sex and dick jokes. Like, all of them are sex and dick jokes. Like, when it was the Dean Martin celebrity roast, those roasts were funny because they were just like they weren't like talking about sex and shit. They were just making fun of the people, like everybody.
Don Rickles was one of the funniest people ever. Up until the last days of his life, he was just the funniest comedian ever, I thought. And he died, right? He's dead. He just died recently, like a year or two ago. And I never know with the weird Mandela effect. Like, I don't know who's dead or alive anymore.
Yeah.
There's actors that pop up that I thought died 10 years ago, and they're still around making shit. I thought James Cromwell was dead for probably 5 years. I thought he was dead, and he's still alive. And I was like, holy crap! I must have went through the Mandela dimension or whatever.
one of my favorites is when they roasted Johnny Carson, and they got Groucho Marx up there, and Groucho's like,
oh, they get brutal about his wives and stuff.
but Groucho was hilarious. Now, of course, this was later on in Groucho's life, but Groucho's like, I'm here to talk about Johnny Carson. He's like, now I watched the Johnny Carson show 3 times. The first night, Joan Rivers was hosting. The second night, somebody else was hosting. The third night, I was hosting. We're honoring a man who doesn't go to work. He's like, I talked to little Johnny. And I went up there and I talked to the mother. And I said, what do you know about Johnny's father? She goes, well, I don't know nothing about Johnny's father. But I know something about the milkman. Or something like that. And just hilarious stuff. And that's what I think is missing today in comedy, is everybody's too much about shit, piss, fart, and puke jokes. There's none of this good old-fashioned comedy anymore. You know,
yeah,
I mean, when you're watching
I don't find those Comedy Central ones are just fucking awful sometimes.
Like I was
saying, awkward. They're like awkward when the jokes just bomb and just awkward silence. It's like, oh, come on.
It's like I was saying, the Woody Woodpecker, he's doing fart jokes and shit jokes, and I'm like, what happened to the good old days where it was like where you'd have the Marx Brothers do wordplay, or even Abbott and Costello with Who's on First, one of the greatest comedy sketches of all time, Who's on First.
Dynamite. Like, where's the dynamite and the pecking people with your beak? That was what he did.
Yeah, and
peck the shit out of people.
And not a single appearance by Chilly Willy the Penguin. I mean, there was no other Woody Woodpecker. You would think there would be like other Woody Woodpecker characters in there, because I mean, Woody Woodpecker was like it was kind of like
cameo, like in the background, something.
Well, it was kind of like a Rocky and Bullwinkle show or something like that, where you would have like a Woody Woodpecker short, and then you would have another short of like I said, Chilly Willy or somebody else, but there was nothing. It was Woody Woodpecker against the dude from Gallivant. That was it.
And that's a shame. You know, the best way to do those kind of things is in big. I think this would a cool way to do like those like cartoon short type things is to make a feature length thing of just shorts and maybe tie them all together somehow, and have like different intros for each one of them. So make them like anthology instead of trying to do an hour and a half of Woody Woodpecker with a storyline, which is he's a bird that sticks dynamite in people's pants and shit. He doesn't need a fucking deep storyline, or he learns how to love or become friends. We don't need that. We want to see him blow the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah, and I mean, it's now they made this movie, and a lot of the stuff I see for it is for like the Brazilian like release of it and stuff. So I don't know, because it's like it went straight to DVD. It went straight to video on demand. They had no. The studio was like, this is not going to make a shit in the theater, so we're just going to put it right on like Netflix and shit. People will watch it because it's not going to make a shit in the theaters. But it's kind of like the same way as they made like a Top Cat movie and it never went anywhere because it was more marketed in other countries and things like that. But I'm like, quit fucking around with these old characters. You got some great old characters, but you fuck them up all the damn time. I mean, the Looney Tunes can't get a good movie the Looney Tunes, they either got to be playing basketball with Michael Jordan, or they got to be solving a mystery with Brendan Fraser. It's like, can I just get a Looney Tunes fucking movie where they're fucking hitting people with anvils?
Exactly. Well, the thing is, it seems weird to me, like that style of humor, just like that slapstick Three Stooges style of humor, just went out of cartoons. Like, I don't know if it was through the 80s, they said they were too violent or whatever, But you'd think that somewhere, I mean, occasionally you get like references to that shit and other stuff, and Adult Swim is like more hardcore cartoons, but it's like that weird like middle of the road. Like, people used to consider Looney Tunes like a family. I guess they still do consider like a family kind of cartoon, but they were violent as fuck back then. They were like totally violent cartoons, shit getting blown up. It's like that just kind of disappeared out of cartoons.
Daffy would get his beak shot off like 20 times an episode while they're playing like the
spitting out buckshot, like handfuls of buckshot.
But they would be doing it while the William Tell Overture or the 17 whatever, the da na 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 na, and it was just like like cannons, just boom, boom, boom.
Every manner of dispelling anything was used in those cars. Dynamite, lightning, electricity, whatever the fuck.
Wile E. Coyote falling off a cliff every single episode, getting hit with a boulder or an anvil or a rocket or something.
One of my favorite things about Looney Tunes, well, Foghorn Leghorn is one of my top favorites of all time. I love
Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn, the old, not any like new, like the old, like Chuck Jones era Foghorn Leghorn is the greatest shit in the world, and it's one of my favorite things. Even though I'm a dog lover, I don't find this funny. I don't find it
when he would grab the dog's tail and smack him with the board.
That's my favorite. I love that he would sneak up on the dog and just pull the dog's tail up and whack the shit out of him with a board, and then run just far enough to the length of the dog's tie-out chain, and it would just yank the dog
and
back.
he would have like a line. He would have like a circle around the doghouse for the chain length, so he knew exactly when he crossed that line, the dog couldn't go any farther.
Just the mean shit. And then like I said, Foghorn Leghorn had the first hillbilly cannibals ever in television history, in movie house history. The two chicken hawks.
Yeah.
The two hillbilly chicken hawks are birds. Foghorn Leghorn's a bird. They're gonna eat him, and they're like hillbillies that live in a big hillbilly nest up in a tree.
And they always send the little chicken hawk to get him, and he like always says, "No, see that says D-O-G chicken. That says chicken. D-O-G chicken, son. Look at you're about as sharp as a bowling ball, son." I said, "What?" I said, "Man, ain't playing with a full deck. Tell you what."
I just love the fucking mean spike. It's kind of true to form. The roosters are kind of mean fuckers. They're kind of mean birds. It's just funny that he's such a mean bastard to that dog.
I always loved a good Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck cartoon. I always loved those. Porky had his moments with me. There were some Porky Pig ones where I thought they were funny. There were others where I was like, not really. Same with like Sylvester
I like
Tweety.
the dancing shoes. I like the Porky Pig when he goes to Ireland.
Oh yeah, they
put the shoes on him. He can't stop dancing. And I also like the one where him and Sylvester go to the house that Sylvester thinks is haunted, but it's the mice are trying to kill Porky Pig.
I liked when Bugs Bunny ran afoul of the vampire, and he's like, "I'm blood count."
Yeah.
And he outwitted the vampire.
Abracapocus. He like turned him into a guy with a tiny bat head. Hocus cadabra. He was saying his words all screwed up. He became a little tiny bat with a human head.
And I mean, even then, it wasn't like, even though they were the main characters, they weren't like there were episodes where they got it too, like Bugs and the Gremlin.
Yeah, there were, and there's a few with Daffy Duck too, like that, where he gets bested. By Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny usually is the one screwing him over.
I always love the one where Daffy's trying to dodge the little man from the draft board during the war, and he's trying to get away from the man in the draft board.
Yeah, some of those old like wartime cartoons and like around that, some of those you can't even get anymore because they were banned. They either had like racist shit in them, or
they're on like
something.
Like they put them on like Treasury Vault editions.
Yeah, you can find them. Like some of them are on YouTube. You can watch.
Like even the Disney ones. Like even the Disney ones. There's like a Disney wartime cartoons ones. It has like the one. What was it? The Fuhrer's Face, where Daffy had a dream he was like a Nazi.
Yeah, some of those I don't even relate to. Like the artwork and animation on some of those is just beautiful though. It's like that's another thing that's missing from today's cartoons is the hand drawn animation and 2D animation. They don't do that in anything anymore, and that's a shame because it's like you see some of those old Looney Tunes and Disney shorts, and it's like the backgrounds are just fucking totally detailed and just amazing looking,
painted, looking beautiful.
And shit doesn't stand, like it all flows. It looks like it all belongs together. Like you don't see like something standing out right on the screen. You know it's gonna move. It doesn't have that weird separation to it.
But then it's like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. Well, then you get into like the '80s when they were just shipping that shit to Korea or wherever they were getting it animated, and it looked like cheap shit.
Well, I was gonna say, then you get to like Hanna-Barbera, where they're, you're like, what? They're in the car driving, but I'm sure they've passed that building like 7 times already. So they just reuse backgrounds, and the animation.
Well, the good thing is they were more they were as a stylized way they drew them for one thing, like Fred Flintstone, like all the Hanna-Barbera characters were kind of stylized drawing.
And the Flintstones
and
was a
the
primetime
voice acting,
cartoon.
Yeah, and I think that what carried Hanna-Barbera cartoons and made it funny, especially like Huckleberry Hound and like Snagglepuss and Yogi Bear and stuff like that. That it was the expressions they would draw on the characters' faces were funny, and the voice acting. It wasn't that wasn't that the animation was great, but the voice acting on those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons was really funny, and they had some like top talent back in the day. Like the old Yogi Bear will still make me laugh. I will laugh my ass off with Yogi Bear trying to save the baby that's like falling into trash cans and shit.
Yeah. I want to say that was Dawes Butler who did that. But then like Scooby-Doo, you would have like Frank Welker, you had Casey Kasem.
And even the old Scooby-Doo Where Are You series is really kind of awesomely animated. I love the style of it, the way it looks. And like the backgrounds were like dark and creepy and cool.
And then if we're talking about old slapsticky cartoons, you got to talk about Tom and Jerry. Probably the most violent.
I hate anything. Yeah, I love Tom and Jerry right to the point where they become friends, and then I fucking hate it. I can't stand
now
it.
that they're like,
I can watch any of the old like 40s ones or 50s ones that they made, and they're still hilarious. But anything where they're Tom and Jerry are friends, or any of that weird like jazz infused like 60s Tom and Jerry, I hate that shit.
I like the 40s, like 30s, 40s Tom and Jerry were good. I didn't like it when Chuck Jones took it over and the animation kind of changed to look more Chuck Jonesy-ish. I mean, because Chuck Jones had that particular style.
Like the big, weird flowery things in the back, like dark black lines, outline and stuff.
Like I like the really early ones where Tom looked like a cat.
I like the old ones, like the when like he's trying to serenade the girl cat.
Oh yeah.
I like that the black and white cat that's like his rival that comes around when they're slamming each other's paws and windowsills and shit.
I liked it when Jerry's like uncle or something comes. He's like the cowboy singer, and he keeps breaking his guitar string. So he keeps going out and whipping a.
I think that's a Chuck Jones era one though.
I don't know if that was. I think that might have been like that transition point. But he's just like Humbo, and then you just see Tom, and he's looking, and you just hear ping, and he's like, gosh darn it, and Tom like goes, running. He starts running because he knows the guy's gonna rip a whisker out of his head.
He's like, come on, you flea-bitten varmint.
No. Oh, Yosemite Sam, man. I love Yosemite Sam. Oh. I hates rabbits. I'm Yosemite Sam, the rootin' tootin' is cowpoke in the west.
The one I like the big like the giant Western outlaw guy that Bugs Bunny runs into. A really huge ape-like guy. That's
is that the one at the end where he when Bugs turns he like goes into a phone like Super Bugs, where he had like the super carrots?
No, that's a different one, I think. This is where he's in the Old West and he meets this giant outlaw guy, and he's trying to flip him over his shoulder. He can't like move him.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
His arms, he's like trying to bring him along. I think he becomes like the sheriff or something. Everybody's leaving the town, and Bugs Bunny becomes the sheriff, and they say you got to arrest this guy. Then he goes in the saloon, and this giant like ape like guy is in there.
Was that the same guy? Was that the same character when Bugs was a boxer? He had to box him.
Oh, he's like, it kind of looked similar.
Yeah, with like the big beard and like the beard goatee thing.
Yeah, like a big henchman. He like the big henchman style character. I think it was Daffy Duck maybe that was trying to arrest him because I remember he's like, well, it was either Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck. They tried to put like handcuffs on the guy. They were trying to like walk out with him, and they were just walking in place. They couldn't go because the guy was just standing there with his arm out. They couldn't go anywhere. So like the guy just eventually just lifts his arm up, and they're on the end of the chain.
This looks like a job for Duck Twicey. Oh my God, it's Duck Twicey's bad guys. Eraserhead, Bat Boy, 88 Teeth.
Yes, man. Like in that like those movies that they tried to make us, it's like none of that's ever going to be as good as like the old, like funny Looney Tunes. And it's like I wonder. It's weird that there's nobody at all doing like hand drawn 2D animation for unless it's like really underground shorts and stuff people are doing like for the art but nobody's doing like wacky comedy.
No. Oh, well, I
3D
mean,
hand drawn.
people could say like Adventure Time.
Sort of.
Sort
That's
of.
got to be computer animated though. By these days, I mean, nobody's like really doing it the way they did it back
No, a
in
lot
like,
of
40s, 50s.
nobody's spending like a year to get a cartoon made these days.
Yeah, like you got, I don't know how many drawings, like 700 drawings for so many seconds of film or something.
And that's what you look at how much you look at those old, like, you got to think a Looney Tunes short was about 7 minutes long. It was only 7 minutes long. But
Yeah,
all the animation, that's
drawings,
thousands of drawings, man, and that they had to flip through. And even like you think that, but then you think about the old Disney animated movies and how long it would take a Disney to bring out an animated movie, because you're talking about a full-length picture.
Think of like Snow White, especially like the first one. They didn't even really know what they were doing.
Disney's Folly is what they called it. Disney's Folly.
And they went into that and made a masterpiece, man. And it's like, you don't. It's weird to me that nobody's doing. No studio is doing it at all. When you would think that people that appreciate animation. There's more people that appreciate animation now and voice work and stuff than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And you'd think there'd be somebody that would be like, we don't want to lose this truly awesome form of art, and somebody would be doing it. But it's like you just don't. Like everything you see on Cartoon Network and all that shit's all computer done. It's all pretty much garbage. And I mean, some of it's good. I mean, I watch it. It's funny, but I mean, it's not like the quality of like the Looney Tunes or like the old Disney stuff. And it's like, man, I can't believe nobody does it. You think somebody would?
I mean, now I will say out of the newer, like I like that Looney Tunes show that Cartoon Network had a little while ago, where it was like set in suburbia, where Daffy and
that was
fact. I actually liked that. I thought that was funny. It still had the essence of the Looney Tunes to it. Yeah, it wasn't. A lot of people think, well, they weren't as slapsticky, but if you really go back and you look at Looney Tunes cartoons, yeah, there was slapstick, but there was a lot of talking to get to the slapstick.
There's just a lot of absurd, like ironic humor in that series that was funny. But does the Miyazaki or whatever that guy? Did they still hand draw? Do they hand draw all those?
The Studio Ghibli stuff, yeah.
I think that maybe Japan still does it. That's fucking impressive. Especially that style is fucking amazing. I mean, I know Akira took 12 years or something to make Akira, just to draw it.
And Akira's that is still a masterpiece. I mean, it was really one of the first animes anybody really knew about here, at least in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was like that and Robotech Macross. That was like all I was aware of it when I was a kid.
And then later on, they would show Dragon Ball like early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Dragon Ball would be on like the Warner Brothers network or something like that. But even then, it was like the Ocean dub, and it was horrible and changing characters' names and shit. But the classic
editing it.
Yeah, the editing stuff. We can't show Goku's penis as he pees in a lake. Okay, I've got that shit. But it's like, it is, where did the comedy go? Where did the comedy go? There's still shows that are good. I mean, we talk Teen Titans Go and how funny that is.
Yeah, I love it, and that's another one that relies on a lot of the voice talent, because you got the old actual Teen Titans voices from the old series, and they're doing these like crazy character versions of themselves.
I mean, I think when you're talking about Looney Tunes and things like that, you have, especially for people like us that grew up with those cartoons, we have the voices in our heads. They are the true voices, and it was all, for the most part, one guy. It was Mel Blanc.
Yeah, and it's the same with like the Muppets too. Like I can't stand that guy that does Kermit the Frog now. It doesn't sound anything like Kermit the Frog to me.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. They're bringing back Muppet Babies, right?
Really? Another property they're going to milk to death?
Yeah, but get this. Here's what's been going on social media. This happened like a week ago. Like I said, I've been out of it because of my knee. But, so apparently it came out, they're redoing the Muppet Babies. But they're adding in a new character who's like a girl penguin. And she's supposed to be like the girly character to, like, she's like the girly side to Miss Piggy's more tomboyish side. But they're getting rid of Skeeter, which was Scooter's twin in the original Muppet Babies. The only thing that character was ever in was like that and like some Golden Books. And people are up in arms because they got rid of this character. You know,
Who cares?
and of course the producers are like, well, this character's going to be great, this new Penguin character, and that, you know, it's the same, you know, it's just
Penguin makes more sense. There's a lot of penguins in the Muppets. I never don't recall this the made up character. So who cares? Why
now
would anyone
personally,
care?
I think it should have been a chicken. That way we could actually find out the deep seated roots of why Gonzo loves chicken so much. That would have been funny. But yeah, so
If I
they're bringing
remember
that
right,
back.
that and the Smurfs were in between Spider-Man, or was in between me getting to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on Saturday morning. So I fucking hated both of those cartoons. I was like, get
See,
this
I
shit
loved the
off of my screen. Bring Spider-Man on here.
See, I love Muppet Babies because they would always do like Star Wars references and Indiana Jones references and Back to the Future references.
Well, wasn't that Marvel Entertainment?
Yeah.
Wasn't that a Marvel show? Because
Yeah.
at the end, this little Spider-Man icon would pop down.
Yeah. And then, of course, the Smurfs were Hanna-Barbera, and I mean, I like the Smurfs. I love the stories of the Smurfs. Who didn't? I mean, other than you hate the Smurfs.
Just I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
Another property that they tried.
I
to
was
make
real
into
into
movies.
superheroes back then, and that shit was just in my way.
Another property they tried to make into movies, and they just fuck it all up. I'm sorry, if I want a Smurfs movie, I want a movie about the Smurfs. I don't want a 2-hour long movie about why Neil Patrick Harris is going to be a good father.
Yeah, well, they tried it and it failed, didn't it? The animated one, everybody said it was shit.
I've watched the animated one, the Lost Village one. It's not, for like I said, for a kids movie, it's not bad. For a kids movie, like go in there with kid eyes, and it's actually not that bad.
Well,
Go in there with
it seemed to
adult
me
eyes.
it would have to be better. It seemed to me because it actually takes place in their time and in their place. And like the ones in the city, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Now,
This doesn't make any sense.
I think my biggest gripe was, I thought Hank Azaria in the live action films did a pretty good Gargamel. I thought he did a really good Gargamel. So Rainn Wilson took over Gargamel for the animated one, and it just was not the same. Because once again, it's that voice. You heard it growing up as a kid. You know that Gargamel voice, and Hank Azaria was just so good at it. You know, bringing in somebody else to do something completely different. I understand, make it your own, but still, it's kind of, that's where they talk about legacy voices. Is that you can't have Bugs Bunny, and you know what Bugs Bunny sounds like, and then have an actor come in and go, you know what? Instead Bugs Bunny's gonna talk like this. What's up, Doc? Yo, what's up, Doc? You know, you can't have that. It's a legacy voice. It's a voice that was established, and that's what they are. And there's little variations to it.
Or
But for the
Scooby-Doo just speaking English properly.
see, and that's the thing. What?
Hello, Shaggy. I'm Scooby-Doo.
Well, what? Don Messick was the original. Was it Don Messick who was the original Scooby-Doo?
Oh, shit, I got no idea.
I want to say it was Don Messick who was Scooby-Doo, and then I think Don Messick passed away. I want to say. And then I think Frank Welker took it over. I'm checking right now.
Voice acting in the 80s was weird, man. Cause like what they did with like when I watched the Phalis on the Real Ghostbusters, like his whole series on Real Ghostbusters, and like how they redubbed the voices with Full House dude Dave Coulier. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
Oh yeah.
It's just dumb, and he was terrible. He was a terrible Pinkman.
Yeah, so Don Messick voiced Scooby from '69 to '96, and now since 2002 it's been Don Messick, and Frank Welker Frank Welker's doing it now. Don Messick passed away in '97. But that's the whole thing. Is like Frank Welker's Scooby-Doo sounds so different than Messick's Scooby-Doo. It's kind of like you listen to. Like Phalis, I think he was doing something about the Garfield shows, and Garfield was voiced by Lorenzo Music, just like Peter Venkman was in the Real Ghostbusters. And then Frank Welker took over again, and I like Frank Welker. Frank Welker's an amazing, voice artist. He's a freaking amazing. But his Garfield, it's like he's trying to do a Lorenzo Music impersonation.
Yeah.
But if you listen to that one, but then go listen to like Maurice LaMarche do a Lorenzo Music impersonation, and Marsh's is like so much better.
It's
So
weird. It's weird that
Dave Coulier, when Dave Coulier took over that role, God, all I heard was Dave Coulier. I didn't hear Venkman. All I heard was Dave Coulier. God damn him.
it's weird that it went full circle and Bill Murray did Garfield's voice in a movie.
That is
after the guy that does
And you know
Garfield
what?
his character in a cartoon.
Those movies were shit, other than Jennifer Love Hewitt. She is a goddess among everybody. But those movies were shit. But I liked Bill Murray as now I thought it was kind of stupid that you had Garfield as an animated CG cat in those movies, and then Odie's a real dog. You should have had that kind of threw me off. Odie should have been Odie. He should have been the dumb.
Yeah. That was more like a Garfield. That was more like a Garfield cartoon special, though, than say like the Smurfs. Like with those Smurfs movies where they're in the city, it's like I said with the Woody Woodpecker thing. You could literally just take a generic plot and plug any old cartoon character into it at that point, and it's the same fucking movie. It doesn't make it. They could have put Woody Woodpecker in the Neil Patrick Harris movie. It would have been the same fucking movie.
Yeah, well, next thing you know, Huckleberry Hound is gonna have to stop. Something going on or some shit. His hat was stolen, and his hat's worth like $50 million or something.
Yeah, just show me some slapsticky characters. That was the weird issue I had with the Hanna-Barbera comics. The Snagglepuss. Yeah. It was like, it just seemed like a weird thing to plug Hanna-Barbera characters into. It's like, why? Why? That, like, you could put any cartoon characters from any show into those roles, and it would have been the same story. There was nothing inherently Snagglepuss about it. Like, he didn't say exit stage left or whatever. He didn't
Heaven's
do
the
anything.
Murgatroyd.
Nothing. I think he might have made a slight reference to one of the phrases in there at some point, but just had nothing to do with what the character is. I mean, whatever. I mean, make him whatever you want, but I mean, at least it should have been funny. It's not a funny story.
It's like we saw Peter Potamus in there. We saw the weird human face Squiddly Diddly. Yeah. I'm like, what's next? Are we gonna see Yappy Yahooey? Are we gonna see Touche Turtle, Ricochet Rabbit?
I don't get it. I've never been a fan of crossovers. I've never been a fan of mashups of things. That's why I didn't really like that story that had like Johnny Quest in it and all the Herculoids and all that shit.
That one wasn't bad. I'll admit that one wasn't bad because it was like them, the Herculoids, Space Ghost. That one wasn't bad.
See, I didn't read it because I'm just not a fan of like mashing stuff up like that. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And like with this DC line of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, like the Flintstones one I read, and it's like I don't really like it. It's not that funny. It's more serious. It's like real life. It's like the Wilma and Fred having like a real, married people argument. It's like
they never had a married. Come on, Wilma was, and I'm not trying to sound bad or anything, but you think Wilma in the show, I mean, she was the loving wife, and she would get on Fred, but Wilma had her moments of stupidity, where she would charge tons and tons of money to their credit card going out shopping with Betty. And Betty was a hottie. I'm sorry, Betty was the hottest. Fuck, Barney got the best end of that stick. Even in the movies. I mean, that last, what was it, Viva Rock Vegas, where the what's her fucking face from Third Rock from the Sun played Wilma, and you're just sitting there like, ugh.
Well, the cartoon, like you said, it was an adult oriented. It was a more adult cartoon.
They smoked Winston cigarettes.
Yeah, for prime time, and it wasn't meant for kids. So I mean, there are some more adult themes in the Flintstones, and it's still funny though. It's a comedy. It's a funny comedy, like this, almost The Simpsons of its day, and like this serious take on Hanna-Barbera is the weirdest thing in the world to me because they're the silliest of all characters.
Yeah.
And it just is this weird disconnect with me, and maybe I just don't get it, and some people do, but I thought the Snagglepuss story was just, the subject matter was way more serious than a big pink lion and a squid with a human face, and it was like, this is like McCarthy or like blackballing people shit. This is important storytelling, and it's weird to have this big pink lion with no pants on walking around.
It's like so weird, and then I think the other weird thing for me is that you look at these characters, and then in that book there's also sexuality in it, and it's like I don't really want to see sexuality with my Hanna-Barbera characters. Like I don't want to know who
Yeah,
Huckleberry.
that's just weird. I don't know,
Isn't that
man.
kind of like borderline, isn't that like borderline bestiality? What they're in that book?
I don't know what in the hell. I don't know if it's like, is it? I don't know that is it wrong to say that I don't want to see a human dog hybrid like fuck people? I don't want that. And it's weird that it's on a DC title. It's kind of weird that they would put this out, and it's like definitely a more maturity. Like you see Snagglepuss. Some people, like people my age that don't read comics and go to the store and say, oh, look, Snagglepuss. I'm going to get the Snagglepuss for my 3-year-old, thinking it's going to be slapsticky Snagglepuss from the cartoon show. And it's this serious story about McCarthy-era shit that just goes right over the kid's head. It's like, I don't know what to make of it. It's the weirdest mashup of things I've ever seen to have something that serious be dealt with Hanna-Barbera characters.
It really is. And I wanted to ask you, because I read it. I read the latest issue of The Walking Dead. Does it almost kind of feel like they're doing Woodbury again in this Brave New World arc? It almost feels kind of like they're doing Woodbury again.
What issue was it? Was it 175? Because I haven't read 176 yet. If that's not out yet.
The last one I read is like the woman sitting at a desk on the cover.
I haven't got that one yet. I haven't got those books yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, that was last week, right? Was it last week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't got it yet.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know what to think about this arc, so we'll table that discussion for now.
Yeah, I'll have to read it first, but it seemed to me like it was going to be this cool new direction that they were going in. It was kind of from one. I could talk about 175. I read that one. 175 is where they first get there, or when they first meet at the meetup point that Eugene had made with the girl on the radio.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of be a cool new direction. I kind of liked how they were, they found out that there's modern civilization for the first time, and they're still using carts and horses and like living like pioneers basically in Alexandria and the DC area. And they went west and found this like amazing. They've got a stadium, they've got electricity, they've got everything.
It's just weird that they're kind of like the people automatically assume that these people that want to meet them are going to join their community. That's what's weird to me, is that they automatically assume, like, they were going to go meet there and see how, they were just going to meet and talk, and then immediately it's like, well, if you're going to be part of our community, it's like, wait a minute, who ever said anything about them becoming part of your community?
Well, see, I haven't read the new one, but it seemed shady that like the girl that was supposed to meet him wasn't there.
There's a reason for that. It's really weird.
But I think that's kind of the way Alexandria is, though. When they ran into that one group with the woman, and they like back before Negan escaped, during the festival fucking planning that took a fucking year.
Yeah.
Where they brought those people back to Alexandria and kind of kept them on house arrest in the place the same way. So I think that's just kind of a thing the communities do in that world. So
it's weird.
Until I read it, I can't really make a determination.
Yeah, we'll table that.
I'm kind of hoping that it goes. I'm kind of hoping that it goes in that, like, they discover this whole new world and have to. I don't know. It kind of opened up a lot of doors so that they could do a lot of different things with it. I still love the book. The show is tanked for me. I'm not even going to watch it anymore. But the book is still great. It's weird. The book gets good and the show gets bad.
I'm thinking, to our talk about cartoons, what I would love to see come back is, now Pixar movies do it. You go to a Pixar movie, right? And you get the Pixar movie, but they always give you that Pixar short before the film.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Warner Brothers, like, when they come out, like, not every movie, but certain movies, they come out with, like, a new Looney Tunes short to play in front of, like, the movie, or something like that. Yeah, because that's how it used to be.
And do it right. Draw it 2D and draw the whole thing.
I remember growing up, after Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, and I love the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I thought, because that was really one of the first times you saw characters from different studios interacting together, Mickey and Bugs on the same screen at the same time. And, I think after that you had, what was it, Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, where they were telling, it was all the different cartoon characters telling you not to do drugs. Like it was like Michelangelo and it was like the Ninja Turtles and the Muppet Babies and the Smurfs and Alf and Garfield are like, don't do drugs. But I remember when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, and then like movies after that, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or whatever, would have like a Roger Rabbit short before the movie. And any chance I can see more Jessica Rabbit, I'm all over it.
That was when Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out. It was like right around the time I went to when MGM first opened down at Disney World, and I remember going and they had props from that movie there, like on the studio lot tour or whatever you take through there.
Disney.
I remember they had a real snow speeder from Empire there too. That's when I went there. I remember that was pretty cool.
Disney is going to be. They are changing so much stuff at all the parks because you're getting a Star Wars land, you're going to get a Marvel land. There's a Toy Story land coming. I mean, they're building so much new stuff at these parks to integrate. I mean, and I don't even know why Avatar is at Animal Kingdom, because last time I checked, I don't know, was Avatar even a Disney or a Touchstone or whatever their subsidiaries was? But they have the whole Avatar land. It's kind of funny. We're going to build a land based off, Avatar is like the highest grossing film of all time almost. But
they're banking on the 4 or 5 sequels that James Cameron's promising. I don't think he's going to get that many.
We haven't seen shit of.
Well, I guess they're starting to work on them and like principal shit's being done. But I mean, I don't think he's going to get 4. I don't think he's going to go that far.
What's bad? I saw Avatar, but I can't remember a damn thing about that fucking movie. Like, it was not memorable.
I remember that it was basically Dances with Wolves and on an alien planet.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of it. And that after I've watched that, like I can appreciate a lot of work went into that thing because it's pretty amazing visually, especially when I saw it in 3D in the theater and it was pretty amazing to see. I don't think it was anything original. I think that the visual effects were pretty fucking cool. But I mean, other than that, it was Dances with Wolves in Space. And the script wasn't that good, and I didn't think it was a very good movie. Unobtainium is the dumbest fucking name for anything in the world. And I didn't care. I thought that was really stupid. And really, the only thing it's just eye candy. The movie. I didn't feel anything for the characters. It just felt generic. I don't think there's enough there to make 4 or 5 movies out of. Honestly,
it's like he gives us a great sequel to Aliens. To Alien. Aliens was a great sequel. It's one of those.
He's great. I guess Terminator 2, all that shit that he made.
Well, that's good. He's one of those few directors that can actually give you a sequel that is either just as good or, if not better than the original.
And honestly, Titanic is not my favorite movie by far. It's not my kind of movie. No. But I'll give him this. I did watch it, and I didn't turn it off, and I watched the whole thing.
Well, I saw it in theater, and I couldn't turn it off.
It didn't really. I watched it when it came out, like on DVD, and I watched the whole thing, and I wasn't really. I thought it was kind of stupid. Like it wasn't my kind of story, but I watched the whole thing. It didn't bore me. I wasn't like really bored.
Like these local girls wanted to go see it, so I got dragged to it.
And I was just waiting for the boat to sink. I was like, I want to see these amazing effects of the boat sinking. That's all I wanted to see.
That's the whole thing. It's like that and like the movie Pearl Harbor, right? I don't need a goddamn love story in my historical movie. Just tell me the facts, show me that the boat fucking sank, and that's it. I don't need a fucking love story in this shit because I don't give a damn about the love story. I want to know the cold hard facts. That'd be like. It's like we're gonna do this.
That's a documentary though.
Well, fine, give it to me.
I would rather watch the documentary than. Like, I absolutely despise Oliver Stone's The Doors movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely fucking hate it, and it's mainly because I was a big Doors fan growing up, and I have seen all of the actual footage of Jim Morrison in a lot of different live situations, and watched whole live concerts of Jim Morrison, and seen interviews of Jim Morrison, and Oliver Stone had Val Kilmer just all tripping out all the time, and like just always a spacey headed guy, and it's like that wasn't really like what he was like when on anything I've ever seen him. And like you see him on like the old PBS. I think it was when the Soft Parade came out, they did a PBS special where they played songs from the Soft Parade, and then they did like an interview. And that was like some of Jim Morrison's last few, like maybe his last interview where he had the big beard and he was like older and kind of put on weight. But he did an interview like in like 70 or 71, like right before he died. And he said, like he was like just a normal guy. He was like, this, what do you think music's going to be like, down the road? And he's like, well, he said, things are going to get more affordable and electronic music's going to take over, and electronic music's going to be huge. People will be able to make music in their homes. Like Morrison said that like in like 70 or 71. Like he was a forward thinker, man. Like, and he was a smart guy. And Oliver Stone reduced him to this spacey-headed moron. Took drugs constantly, like a funnel down his throat, and is just stumbling around to the streets. And it's like that isn't really a good portrayal of Jim Morrison. That's not really what he was. I'm sure he got fucked up. There's no doubt in my mind the guy took every drug on the planet.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But he didn't act like that all the fucking time. I mean, there's video evidence that he didn't act that way all the time.
Well, those are some of those, like, when you do those biopics, like, I am worried to death. They're doing a biopic on Mr. Rogers, okay? And I want to know, why is it nowadays when they do a biopic and they're like, we need an actor to play this character. Tom Hanks! It's a biopic. Let's get Tom Hanks!
Yeah, I was thinking, what are they doing, like the last days of Mr. Rogers? Because he's kind of old.
Well, I'm sitting there like, so they had to do that biopic where it was like how Disney got the rights to Mary Poppins. Well, Tom Hanks is playing Walt Disney. They have that Captain Sully or whatever. Tom Hanks is playing him. Why is Tom Hanks like the go-to for every fucking biopic nowadays?
I don't know, but I saw somebody right after that was announced that Tom Hanks was going to be Mr. Rogers. I saw somebody put up a picture of a side-by-side of Mr. Rogers and Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory, and I thought, why didn't they fucking go with that? It looks like he looks a lot like Mr. Rogers. I'm sure he could do that. And he has that voice. He could do that voice perfectly.
He could do that voice, and I like Jim Parsons. Like I said, if you all have never seen the movie Home, go watch it. It is amazing. He does a great job in that movie, and I love that movie. And go watch the cartoon series on Netflix. I think that's still that might still be hand drawn 2D, but it is beautiful and it's funny and it's great. I love that that show. But I'm sitting there like, Mr. Rogers, are they going to talk? I mean, are they going to showcase him like when he went to to Washington to fight for, like public access and get money for public access and things like that? Because those are...
Well, see, that was important, and just really just this whole, like, his whole attitude, like, he's like the nicest person on the planet.
Yeah.
That's weird. I wonder if George Romero, I wonder if they'll focus on any at all, if they'll have like a cameo of like a guy that's supposed to be George Romero, because that was like one of his early cameramen.
See, and that's my thing. If they portray as like the secret life of Mr. Rogers, and he's like snorting cocaine off like a puppet's ass or some shit.
Him and Lady Evelyn or whatever, getting it on behind the castle.
I wanted to see the secret lives of the Teletubbies. I really want to know what Tinky Winky and Lala were doing. Think of it. One of them's head was phallic. The other one was a circle. What were they? What were they doing there?
No, really backstage it was just like a bunch of British dudes like smoking cigarettes with the heads off. Like, let's go out there and Tinky Winky, whatever the fuck.
Oh come on, that's all the Wiggles are. They're Australian. All these all these kids.
They were knife fighting. They were all knife fighting backstage.
What was that movie? Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh,
Danny DeVito.
Oh God, Danny DeVito swimming in chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Danny DeVito has gotten funnier as he's gotten older. I love that he goes on The View drunk.
It's because he can. He's Danny DeVito.
That's right. He can do whatever he wants.
I was on Taxi.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew Andy Kaufman. I don't think he's dead. I think Andy Kaufman's still alive. He's just ribbing us.
He's just out there somewhere. They should, if Danny DeVito ever has to leave Sunny, they should replace him with Judd Hirsch from Taxi. Judd Hirsch should just be brought into the gang.
And he'd be like, but it'd be different because he wouldn't be like Frank. He'd just be this.
No, he'd be
Jewish
smart.
Guy.
He'd be a
smart Jewish guy.
He'd be appalled by them. He would hate them all. They'd be stuck with them. That would be funny.
That was one of the weirdest things. You watch Independence Day, and you got like Will Smith, Bill Pullman, John Goldblum, and then you just got Judd Hirsch.
Yeah, Judd Hirsch just brought along for the ride, just an old man.
And he's like, what am I doing here? You're like, well, you know what? Hey, you got some good cigars? Yeah, I got cigars. I got cigars. And then he brings in his buddy, freaking Christopher Lloyd. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Oh,
Christopher Lloyd on Sunny, that might be funny.
Oh, we're gonna do cocaine. Oh, I like it.
Crack.
All right, let's. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. That's our talk about whatever it is. Crack,
coke.
The
Doc Brown snorting coke.
Yeah, we're gonna be going into the review portion, but for those who don't want the review spoiled, we're going to go ahead, give you all the links and everything. Make sure, if you haven't already, go to our YouTube channel, Nerd Rage Renegades on YouTube. We have a new commentary up. We have Strike Commando.
Yeah, and this one works really well since you went in and edited it right.
Oh yeah.
Well, not that you did it wrong before, but you did an extra special step on this one, so it works. It works perfectly.
I did. This one it was so fun. Come on, everybody, let's swap guns.
That's a funny movie. Number one, anything with Red Brown in it, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a good time watching it because Reb is just entertaining, just being on screen. He's a big pink toddler.
And coming very soon is also a short commentary track we're going to have of the adventures of Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, that was a weird one too.
Yeah, that was weird.
Only 42 minutes long, but I mean, it seemed longer when we were watching.
It did. So we got that one coming down the pipe. We got a special one coming down the pipe when we can get everything scheduled and set up.
Oh yeah. I gotta. Oh fuck! I gotta get that done. I talked to Jess about it. We kind of figured out what we got to do. We just got to do it.
Right.
And then we're gonna try it out. We're gonna do a test run with it, and then we've got a big surprise coming down the pipe in a couple of weeks.
Yes. So go check out that. Make sure if you're on the Stardust app, you check us out, Nerd Rage Renegades on Stardust. I have a reaction to the trailer of Solo up there. Go check us out. Make sure if you get the app, you download it, you follow us first so we can get credit. That way they know you came there because of us. You can catch us on Twitter at SpaceChief75 and at the Nerd Rage Renegades. Crystal will tell you every place we are every week.
The Nerd Rage Renegades are on the air every Wednesday on Podbean, Stitcher, Player FM, iTunes, Google Play, and every Thursday on GamingRebellion.com, Filling the Void Podcast Network, and now iHeartRadio.
So we want to thank you all, but for now we're going to hit that spoiler alert and we're going to talk some DC Comics.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, the Renegades are about to spoil this week's DC Comics.
Alright, DC Comics this week, another big week, another part of Metal coming out this week.
Yeah. It's not the final issue, but it's a Dark Knight's tie-in, and it's pretty damn good and weird. It's weird, man.
Dark Knight's Rising, The Wild Hunt.
Yeah, it seemed to me like it's. I'm guessing that 6 is going to fill in some spots because it seemed to me like everybody's in a different spot than they were when we left off with 5.
Yeah, Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, James Tynion IV, and Joshua Williamson were the writers. Artists Howard Porter, Jorge Jimenez, and Doug Mankey with Jamie Mendoza. Writers on the Razor, Dark Knight's Rising, The Wild Hunt. This book, really interesting. I mean, so many characters in this book. You had, of course, the Dark Knights, led by the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
Red Tornado, the Metal Men,
Detective
Chimp, who is
I noticed a couple of hints or maybe homages possibly to Crisis in there, and so far throughout this whole Rebirth and Metal and everything event that's going on with Rebirth, I've noticed some like tie-ins to Crisis and some hints at it, and some kind of history repeating itself when we get to the Flash.
Rex the dog was in here. I haven't seen Rex in a while. Who helped Detective Chimp in his early days. Basically, there's a couple stories going on. Flash, Cyborg, and Raven are trying to find the House of Heroes.
Yeah.
And it's all based off of like melodies, like the ship they're on, the Ultima Thule. Everything's based off of like music and sound waves and things like that. And there's a lot of talk in here about the challengers of the unknown. There's trying to just discuss this book. There's just so much. It's hard to like.
Yeah, I think a good chunk of it though is around Detective Chimp and his something is affecting his intelligence as he's getting closer to the answer. I think because we know Detective Chimp from the flashbacks. He has a basically music was beat into him by his former owners of the circus or wherever he came, the carnival. And basically, he was kind of they beat him till he got this music right. So and then when he became super intelligent, he just understood music, and he kind of has this specialty in music. So they've got him with Red Tornado and the Metal Men trying to find the frequency that they need, and something is affecting Detective Chimp and making him get dumber and dumber as the book goes on. So we're not told what that is yet, but I'm assuming that'll be answered in Metal 6.
And a big reveal, everything with DC has always been 52, because there are 52 universes.
Yeah.
But this week, the writers of this book threw a monkey wrench in all of that and say that there is actually a 53rd universe.
Yeah, and it's a weird one.
It's a weird universe.
Are we gonna we've already put up the spoiler, right?
Yeah.
Can we say what it is?
Go ahead. Yeah.
The chimpanzee universe, full of monkeys and chimpanzees as different superheroes. We had a bat chimpanzee, I believe.
There's a Superman gorilla. There's an Aquaman chimpanzee. And
so really weird and strangely. And this, like I said, I thought this was it's gonna heavily depend. Like Detective Chimp is a major piece of this somehow because, like I said, some outside forces affecting him, and clearly, the chimpanzee monkey universe, the 53rd universe, directly connects to him somehow. It's gonna heavily lay on Detective Chimp somehow. The part of this, at least part of the solution to the whole thing. And we still got wild cards. Like they even mentioned, don't they say something like Batman and Superman are free? They're still out there somewhere. And there's something to that effect. Like there's still hope as long as some of the Justice League are still out there doing shit.
Beautiful artwork in this book. There's so much to digest, and I think that's just because you have 4 fantastic writers writing this one issue with Snyder, Morrison, Tinian, and Williamson. Just all 4 of them are amazing writers, and this is just a huge book to try to digest.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's not incomprehensible. It's not too over the head, really. There's a lot of stuff in it for sure, and there's a lot of things to think about when you're done reading it. But I don't think that's too much. I think they did. It wasn't like an oversaturation of all those writers just throwing shit in. It didn't feel like that. It felt like it's got a point and it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
There's just a lot in it.
Yeah. So definitely, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book. I loved the reveals at the end. I loved just everything about it. Then I read Sideways, which is part of the new Age of Heroes from DC, from Kenneth Rocafort, Dan Didio, and Justin Jordan.
I glanced over it, but I'm not sure. Maybe I should probably just read it better. But it looks like, he's got some kind of cool powers. He can like phase into different places, and he's got super strength.
Yeah. So basically, now these are all saying these come out of metal. Now I don't know. Maybe in Metal 6 they're going to show us how all this kind of happened to these folks, because this one, the guy...
Is it going to be in the No Justice? Is that going to have to do with all this too? The 4-issue series is going to introduce some of this?
I don't know. But I know in this, so like he was in Gotham when the Mountain appeared.
Yeah.
And somehow he now has these powers where he can phase through like dimensions and end up wherever he wants, and he has super strength. But most of the book it's him going to school, it's them kind of his relationships with his mom about what happened because they were in Gotham, and then him trying to capitalize on his new powers on like YouTube, become like a celebrity on YouTube, until he hears this voice that keeps telling him to stop doing what he's doing. And then at the end, he comes face to face with a big hulking behemoth that says your sentence is death.
His apparently it doesn't really go into detail, but he fell when the Challenger's Mountain appeared.
Yeah.
He fell in a crack, and then it says, he said, I fell onto the ground, and then I fell somewhere else. I think I went into the whatever energy the mountain was putting off. So he went into some kind of energy field and gained the power that he's got somehow.
And he says he ended up on the other side of Gotham when he came out of it. So all these books are just like setup books. All these first issues, they're whether it was Damage or Silencer, now Sideways, it's all very much a first issue setup issue where you don't know, you really don't know anything. You know pretty much nothing about. They're brand new characters.
They tell you who he is, how he got his powers, where he goes to school, who his friends are, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the same with all the new stuff that I've looked at is all like that. It's like all kind of set everything up.
The only thing that's different in this is like there is that character that now maybe I'm having a brain fart about who that guy was at the end of the book. But it was like in Damage, Amanda Waller shows up. In Silencer, you have Talia al Ghul. This one didn't really have anybody except for that big behemoth at the end, and like I said, my mind's blanking on who that is right now. Maybe if you look at it, you could tell me who that is, if you know.
Get to the page here. Oh, this guy that you have been judged at threat to the continue. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That doesn't say unless he's some old school villain I'm not aware of.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. This is the first one that doesn't really have something like that. Not bad. I like the artwork. I do enjoy that kind of artwork. It's very nice. But once again, it's just a setup issue. It's a setup.
Yeah, this one or these last. It's like the two panels right before the last one of the cityscape is just beautiful, man. The artwork on that. And showing the. I'm guessing that had to be like photo referenced or something because that's pretty detailed shit.
Yeah. And then you have Titans was another one that's out this week. This one, of course, Dan Abnett writing it. Still coming.
I'm kind of following that book off and on a little bit here and there. I read them once in a while.
I follow Titans. I've been following that since Rebirth. I do like Abnett taking over Paul Pelletier as pencils on this book. It's following, so basically the Titans were told to disband by the Justice League because of what happened with Donna Troy and Troya from the future. Roy has been out taking down drug lords on his own. Well, he gets in a little over his head and is rescued by Cheshire, who we haven't seen in a while. And all this stuff kind of starts coming back up, him and Cheshire, old feelings and everything, and Dick and...
he blows Donna Troy off. She is talking to him from the Justice League satellite, and he kind of says, this is the last time you're going to talk to me because I got to go underground.
Yeah.
So he kind of cuts off all ties to the rest of the Titans.
Dick and Wally are in there having discussions about everything that's been going on.
Yeah, and Cheshire and Roy get into the intergang lab, and they take out the guards and they get a sample of this drug. Like this one gang is making a knockoff of this drug by this intergang group, and so they break in to get the original sample of the original drug so that they can find out what it is and who's making it and all that. So Cheshire helps them do that, and then they go back to Roy Harper's apartment, and they eventually, it's implied that she spends the night with Roy, and he wakes up and the drugs are gone, and he has apparently used drugs again. without his knowledge, or she at least made him think he did.
Well, there's a picture before that in the scene before that where they're getting it on, wow, chicka wow wow, and she's clawing his back. Now that could be clawing, and they show that she's clawing his back, cutting it. She could be administering something to him through her nails, something like that.
Yeah, I will say the payoff at the end of this was pretty evil, man. She's an evil woman.
Yeah. And she, the living brain shows up and everything. I mean, it's one of those. These are like the books where I love reading them, but at the same time they get these little lulls in the story arc sometimes. Apart from like when Titans first started, it was a lot about Wally coming back. Where's Wally been? What's been going? What happened with the time stream? And I thought Titans was really going to be a big key player with the whole Doomsday Clock and Dr. Manhattan thing, and then they just kind of trailed off on that. They just trailed off and haven't even really discussed it much. So, still one of those nice side books. I think it could pick up a little better. I hope it does with Abnett writing, and I mean Abnett's a great writer. So
For me, like that book gets more into the drama than I'd like the relations between the members of the Titans. I like the Teen Titans book better myself. I like. Well, I'm a big Beast Boy fan too, and I like that Damian is the Robin on that team, and it's kind of a similar lineup to the old Titans lineup. But you got Raven, you got Beast Boy, you got Robin, you got Starfire. And I really like that book, and I like that there's this apprehension. I like that during the Super Sons in that book that Damian wanted to introduce Jonathan Kent as the Superman of the group, and they wouldn't let him join the group because he can set off like a supernova blast out of his body, and they're kind of afraid of him. But the Titans book gets. How long has Abnett been writing it? By the way, it's been writing it a while, right?
Not long. No, he didn't start off doing it. It's only been a little bit.
But it depends. With the Titans, it depends on what they're doing. As really, if I like it or not. When it goes through those stretches where you're dealing with Wally West depression, and you're dealing with them trying to find an apartment, and you're dealing with the team breaking up, and they're all separating, and it's like I don't care for that so much. I like it especially when it's like a tie-in. Like if they do like a tie-in to like an event, then it's usually got a lot more action and it's a lot. It picks up. But yeah, maybe with Abnett writing it's going to get better if he hasn't been doing it long. Like I said, I don't follow it too close.
So what else did you read this week?
This week also I read Action 997, and I'll tell you, Jurgens, Booth, Ratmund Dollhouse are the creators on it. Basically, it's continuing with Booster Gold and Superman are still trapped on they're on a new Krypton, which is a planet that Zod and his family took over in this alternate future timeline that they're in. And so we find out that Zod's family, he brought him out of the negative zone, and he has a son he has a grown son that takes on Superman, but he's young and he's dumb, and Superman pretty much easily beats his ass. And so he's standing over him, and then all of a sudden, they have Eradicators too. The Eradicators, and all of a sudden they get blasted, and it's Zod. Zod shows up, an older version of Zod shows up, and captures Clark. And it also is. It's flipping back and forth between Lois Lane going to save her father. Can't remember the name. I'm trying to find Logamba. And Lois Lane's father's being held in a Logamban prison, and they're going to execute him the next day. So she's sneaking in to break her father out, even though they have strained relations. And she almost gets caught up, but then out of nowhere, Jonathan Kent, her son, is there and takes out some dudes for her. And so now she's got him with her, and she's got to break her dad out, and then she's got to explain why she brought a child with her into a dangerous prison. But then it goes back to at the end, they've got Zod and his family have got Superman and Booster Gold like crucified in the town, and they're gonna kill them. It says I guess they're just gonna heat blast him with heat vision and keep blasting Clark till he's dead. But they're doing a public execution on Superman. But they've got a Booster Gold's force field around him, but it's wearing out, and they're gonna get blasted with heat vision soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Lois and her father and Jonathan Kent are escaping from the Legamins, and they get hit out of nowhere from a big gun. And I see at the very last thing is like you don't see what happens, but Lois has got blood all over her. Her father's got blood all over him. Jonathan Kent's pretty much bulletproof, so I'm guessing he's just knocked out for the time being. So I'm not sure. We don't know how badly wounded they are. So the next issue is called Out of Time. So I guess it'll pick up there, and we'll find out what happened to Lois.
As Bendis kills off Crypto the Superdog, will Lois Lane die as well?
I don't know if he's gonna kill him off or not, but that was an odd tweet that he put out with Crypto.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other books that I read Detective 974, which is still carrying on with the aftermath of the Clayface assassination. We find out, according to the doctor, his cells are breaking down, so Clayface is supposedly actually dead. He's like truly dead this time. Because Batwoman in the last issue shot him through the head with a specialized rifle that her father gave her. Now we're dealing with the aftermath. I think it's pretty much confirmed by Tim Drake that this is the event that causes him to want to come back and kill Batwoman, to prevent her from murdering Clayface. And as a result of this, I guess this is the catalyst for that in the future. But I guess since he knows it's going to be an alternate thing where he doesn't actually go back in time again and do it. But Batman kicks her off the team. Batwoman is no longer a member of the Bat Team. And then the Clayface had left instructions with the doctor who was making his cure to go and cure this woman that he had Glory Griffin, who he had deformed with the old Daggett industrial whatever stuff.
Right.
He had deformed her. He had deformed her face before, and the doctor went in and cured her. And then you get Stephanie Brown leaves Tim Drake at the end. That's another thing that's gonna end up being the catalyst for him becoming the angry future Batman. But Orphan actually went up and ripped the bat symbol off of Batwoman's chest, like ripped it off of her armor and said, "This symbol means you don't kill," and took it away from her. And Batman basically said, "Yeah, what she said, get the fuck out." So he threw Batwoman out. So now she's all mopey and stuff. And then her father comes in with a brand new Batwoman outfit, but he's got the symbol of whatever his group is at the time on the chest of it. He's replaced the symbol.
Right.
So according to this, Batwoman is no longer with the team. The next is the trial of Batwoman. And we're going to get an appearance by Ulysses Armstrong, who's coming into it at the end. See, timeline. Okay, so he's watching the timeline here. So, and he has history, the history of their future or something. He's downloaded. So he said the timeline. Let's see. Oh man, my eyes are terrible. I'm looking at my phone. The timeline advancing as planned, and then he says, which means that I now have access to the history of their dark future. While he's wearing a Batman shirt. So we'll see how that plays out. But that was Detective 974. And I think the last one I read was The Flash, and which is pretty good. I can do a quick rundown of that. Basically, it's still it's Flash number 40. Let me give you the artist and stuff real quick. I got it right here. Williamson, John Domenico, and Placencia. But pretty damn good. I'm a big Barry Allen fan, and I love Grodd as a villain, and Grodd is back in it. And basically Grodd, with the help of, who are these guys? I keep forgetting their names too. It's a lot to remember. He's getting help from Who is this dude? Can't remember what his name is. Anyways, he's getting help from a group that's basically built a giant lightning rod in Central City, and they're calling down the Speed Force and basically creating speedsters out of different villains and stuff too, and it's kind of affecting all the villains that are helping. But basically, Grodd gets hold of Barry Allen and basically sucks the Speed Force from him, takes it away from him. So Barry Allen is just a guy now, which I thought was kind of symbolic of kind of what happened to him in Crisis in the sense that in the end of this book, Barry Allen passes on the mantle of the Flash of Central City to Wally West. Wally West comes to help and shows up, and he says, "I'm just Barry Allen now. You're now Flash." And so the mantle has been passed to Wally again to be the main Flash. Now we got the Flash War coming up pretty soon. War of the Flashes or whatever it's called. I don't know if it's Flash War or War of something like that. It's a big battle of speedsters coming up here pretty soon. Big arc. And so we get to the end of the book, and basically Barry Allen said, "Grodd beat me, but he didn't beat the Flash." And he says, "We know, Barry, just tell us." And he says, "No, well, you don't understand. I'm not the Flash of Central City anymore. You are." So he passes on the mantle of main Flash, Justice League, or Flash, I guess, to Wally West once again. And so we'll see how that goes. The next issue says Wally West is back, so we'll get to see a Wally issue of just the Flash.
Cool.
So we'll see how that goes. Barry Allen didn't die this time.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he gets the Speed Force back because Barry Allen's my favorite Flash.
Right.
But pretty good. I'm really excited about the Flash War coming up, the War of the Flashes, Flash War, whatever. It sounds like it's going to be cool. We're probably going to get a return of we know Professor Zoom is back, and Godspeed. We're going to see some cool shit coming up in the Flash. So be on the lookout for that, everybody.
That's your books this week from DC Comics. Of course, there's a lot more out there. As always, we say get out there this Wednesday, or whenever you can. Go buy some books from your local comic book shop. I did this past week. I went and got all my Marvel books because, of course, we get our DC books here, and I tend to let those sit for just a little bit. But I went and got all my Marvel books, so I'm trying to catch up on my Marvel. Lots to read on that end. So.
Yeah, I didn't get mine. I got to get mine next week.
Yeah, I got to get mine. I think I only read The Walking Dead.
I always pick them up within the month, though. I got 30 days on it. I always get them within that 30 days. Yeah. I never leave my shop hanging.
Oh no, my shop always knows that I'll be in there sooner or later to pick them up. So I can come in one sitting and they can pay their rent. Just based off of my.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like I let it 3 or 4 weeks pile up, and they get a pretty penny out of me when I go in, so they're pretty happy when they see me show up.
Yeah. But go drop some cash. Make sure you say how much you love your books. So until next time, we will see you then.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Nerd Rage Renegades.